I'm a few days late. I'll hold my hand up, I will hold my hand up, but it's about time we talk about the 2019 Paris E-prix, round 8 of season 5 of Formula E. Coming into this race, the streak was still on, and I know sometimes we get a little bit bored talking about the streak, but last time in Rome, Mitch Evans got his first ever victory in Formula E. Jaguar as well got their first ever victory in Formula E, so hopes were high, hopes were very high coming into Paris, that there were still so many drivers on the grid yet to get a victory, including the Nissan team, because this is a bit of a spoiler. Before this race, the streak was that not only had we had 7 different winners, 7 different races, 7 different nationalities, but we had also had 7 different pole sitters, but more crucially, the race winners were all from different teams, which was an incredible feat. And Nissan, the team arguably with one of the best cars on the grid, were yet to win a race. And so it made sense that where they were in qualifying, where they ended up finishing in qualifying, this should have been Nissan's race. Not quite to be. Anyway, the qualifying result, let's start with that, and your top 3 looked a little bit like this, especially on the grid, because in qualifying, Pascal Wehrlein was on pole position, but both Mahindras were found to have broken technical infringements, and so they had to start from the very back of the grid, which is a shame because I feel Pascal Wehrlein, although we're 8 rounds into the season, I still have this little inkling that he could be one of the championship contenders. I don't know. We'll yet to see on how that's going to go for Pascal, but his bad luck for the season continued, starting all the way at the back, but that meant the 2 Nissans would start P1 and P2, Robin Frijns starting in P3. Moving on to the race, very quickly, this became one of the most carnage and utterly chaotic Formula E races perhaps ever. That might be a bit of a statement, but honestly, this was a crazy race, and it's bizarre that I've taken this long to do my review, and yes, I do, again, I'll apologise for being late, and I'll apologise for the standard of video not quite being as the usual sort of standard set, is how I'll explain it, but anyway, busy, but the race itself was crazy. Lap 1, safety car start, a little bit boring, and the reason for the safety car start wasn't due to any sort of crash or rain or anything like that. That comes later on. The reason for the safety car start was actually because there was so much leaves on the track. On the start-finish straight, they deemed that it was unfair, that I believe it was the right-hand side, the guy starting on the right-hand side of the grid, the dirty side of the grid, would be at such a disadvantage. There was just no point doing a normal grid procedure because the guy who was in 5th pretty much instantaneously would be up into 3rd. Because he would overtake the two guys starting on the right-hand side in front of him. If that makes sense. I hope it does. Anyway, moving on to the race. Safety car start, a little bit boring, a little bit dull. Very quickly things changed, and with 2 minutes into the race, Ollie Rowland, race leader, into the wall. Couldn't get the car slowed down enough. Went straight on into the wall. Not out of the race, but pretty much out of contention. People already thinking, oh my god, are Nissan ever going to get their first victory? Well, a couple of laps later, Robin Frijns, who was in P2 at the time, worked his way up, well, was in P3 when Rowland made his mistake, worked his way up into P2. He then managed to get into attack mode behind Buemi, who was leading. Buemi then thought, oh, I better try and defend, get in attack mode. Took a really strange line to get into attack mode, as the nature of attack mode suggests. It's difficult to get into the zone. Contact with Frijns. Initially, seemed like there was no sort of issue, but a couple of laps later, a little bit like what we saw with Bird and Lottrerer earlier on in the season, puncture. Buemi comes in the pits, puncture. Nissan, I mean, with 10 minutes in the race, Nissan already from a 1-2 on the grid, now looking like they are not going to even be on the podium, not even within a sniff. Such is the way of Formula E. Frijns then leaves, and I tell you what, a little bit spoilers, Frijns did go on to win the race, but it was I'm still stunned. I'm still stunned. The rain started coming down. We've never had a wet race in Formula E, and I'm still hesitating a little bit to call this a wet race, because it was about halfway through, I think about 25 minutes to go, the rain started to come down, so I don't know if I want to call it a fully wet race just yet. However, it started to rain, it even started to hail. It started to hail, and you just knew there was going to be carnage. And instantly, Dillman into the wall, looking for his first points for the season for Neo. No, the race god said no, not today, Tom Dillman. Then we had a mega smash. We had Bird and D'Ambrosio making contact into turn 1. Bird was then forced wide into the wall. D'Ambrosio then kept on going, but then behind, Roland just couldn't get the car stopped. Absolutely smacked into the back of Sims. Sims sent spinning into the barriers where Bird was. It was beautiful for all us crash lovers. But at the same time, you're watching all these guys, that especially Bird and Sims, who had done nothing wrong, just being taken out of the race, and you're thinking at this stage, who's even going to make it to the flag? It really was those sort of moments, and it was just carnage in the midfield. We saw Vandoorne also go on. We had a safety car. Then when the safety car restarted, Felipe Massa instantly went for a spin. And then we saw, I think it was Mortara. He went into the wall just completely by himself. Another safety car. Then the safety car restarted again. Then Mortara and Lin ended up in the wall. Mortara ended up squashing himself underneath Lin. There was also Turvey hitting the back of Massa, sending those two on. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was amazing. It was classic Formula E, but it was a lot to take in. A lot to take in. And I did need a day just to really just understand. I've watched the race twice now, and it doesn't get any easier. It really doesn't. And yes, we come away from this race. I mean, here's your podium. Frijns with the victory, as mentioned a little bit earlier on. Lottrerer, second place once again. Abt, third place. But we come away from this race with a championship standings, which is just so unrealistic. It truly is bizarre. Your top 3 now is Frijns, out of nowhere, leads the championship. Lottrerer is now 1 point behind in P2. Da Costa P3. D'Ambrosio, who was leading, isn't in the top 3 anymore. And for next year, I'm going to change the graphics. A bit like I've done with Formula 1 this season, I'm going to change up the graphics for next season for Formula E, because I think, honestly, I did not expect the championship to be this wide open, this late on into the season. So only showing you the top 3 just does not do enough credit. And if you've got a spare minute, I would recommend just heading over to the standings and just taking it in. Just taking a breather and thinking, oh my God, anyone can win this. But it was a mega job from Robin Frijns. My driver of the day, in actual fact, is not Robin Frijns, it's Maxi Gunther. Lucas di Grassi was P4, just wanted to mention, outside the podium, but P5, Gunther, considering such limited running he's had in this car, an incredible job, keeping the car on the road, which we saw so many experienced drivers being unable to do. He has saved his seat, I think, in Formula E, proven to the Dragon team that he deserves that chance. You're looking at what difficulty Felipe Nasr had. This guy has jumped in, got their best result of the season in the most crazy race. Mad respect. And just quickly rounding out the rest of the top 10. Verne was P6, P7 Da Costa, 8th Gary Paffett, 9th Felipe Massa, and 10th Pascal Wehrlein. Sorry, it's a little bit different this time out. Very busy at the moment, so I'm hoping next weekend when things calm down a little bit, we'll be back straight. I'm hoping. Next couple of days, things you can expect from me. We've got the weekly mailbox Q&A and our winners and losers from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.